Do you struggle with feeling like you have old emotional trauma that you really want to heal and past wounds that you want to heal, but you just don't really know how? Well, you're in luck because in today's episode, we are going to show you how you can heal your old trauma and your past wounds to start living life now. And the advice that Gabby gives at the very end, it's a podcast recording, so the advice that Gabby gives at the very end is so powerful. And if you are struggling with healing old wounds, then you really need to watch that part of the episode. So make sure to stay to the very end. And if you want to receive weekly videos that are going to share with you everything about personal development, mindset, basically how you can become the best version of you possible, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell because that is everything I'm going to be sharing on my channel. Okay, now let's get into the episode. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Business Podcast. I'm so excited to be joined today by my beautiful friend, Gabby, who I met in Bali. I've had the absolute privilege of hearing her story, hearing her journey, and how powerful it truly was. I'm so excited, Gabby. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, babe. I feel very, very honored.
You're welcome. So you and I met we'd sort of briefly met. I heard about you. I knew a lot about you through Adriana because we have a mutual friend that we're both very close with. I heard about how amazing you are, and then I truly got to experience that at Elevate when you were one of the speakers and the presenters and really shared your story with everyone and how you got to where you are today. I think it's so powerful as well, like going through that and feeling like, okay, well, this is something that I can't get over at the start, but then about halfway through to be able to have the mindset shift of, okay, I'm not the victim here. This is not happening to me. This is happening for me. That is so important, I think, because so many people get stuck in the victim mindset of, oh my God, I got fired and it's my boss's fault and I was doing a good job. They were just like, they just didn't like me there, or the coronavirus or the government or my car broke down or whatever it is. It's very much, so many people get stuck in a victim mindset. But once you actually can have that mindset shift and say, this is happening for me, you take back responsibility and you take back your power. Because when you blame other people, you have no power. It's their fault and you have no control of this situation. But when you can take back that responsibility and say, okay, this is happening for me, you take back your power. How did you actually have this mindset shift? Like, did it just sort of, you just woke up and had a realization, or was there sort of something that you did that helped you to have this realization? Because I think so many people really could benefit from having a similar mindset shift, but maybe just don't know how to make it happen.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've always been quite bad at asking for support and guidance from other people when I've been struggling. And that year, I was literally forced to do that. And I think one of the main reasons that really helped me get through this quite quickly, actually, was the people that I had around me. Like, I know that a lot of people aren't as lucky as I was to have like really loving friends and family that just dropped everything and supported me. And that was such a huge thing for me. So I could like talk through things with people and that I didn't have to be in it by myself. And like, even my mum and dad, like when I said I wanted to do this coaching, they were like, we're going to make it work for you. We're going to support you. We're going to help pay. And for me, that was just like the biggest gift. And I know not everyone is lucky to have that, but asking for support, like even if you don't have the family members to support you, like friends that you love and who you trust. I think I went to like one therapy session and I didn't like it, because in therapy, this is why I love coaching so much, because in coaching, you're really empowered. Like, yes, we reflect on the past, but it's more about the present moment, giving you the right tools so that you can change your future in a really empowering way. Whereas things with like therapy and counseling, you can kind of get trapped in repeating your victim story over and over again. and just circling. And I just didn't like feeling like that victim. I kind of cut that out. It pushed me so much because like everything was just basically fucked in my life. It pushed me to connect more with my spirituality. And I started meditating like every single day. And that really, really helped me to feel connected to something greater than myself. I would say those two were the main things, that support and then feeling connected, like this is all happening for a greater reason and a greater purpose. Just like knowing it was all like written in the stars and just trusting and feeling safe in that knowing. That really, really helped me move through that. And again, with what you're saying with like the victim stuff, I realized like I wanted to take my power back. And I didn't want to carry on blaming, just putting the responsibility on other people. It's like, it's our responsibility to take control of our life. And to be honest, I still went back and forth between that victim mentality and then out, and victim mentality and out. And it wasn't until I was working with a coach when I got to Bali when she really made me see like, this is part of your identity right now. And if you don't want it to be, like, that's fine. You can consciously choose to step out of that. There's this thing called the drama triangle. And you've got the victim at one end, the perpetrator at another, and the rescuer at one end. And in most relationships in our life, someone's always playing that role. But that's how it creates drama. So we can choose to consciously step out of that, just take responsibility. And that's going to have like effects with other people. They may not like that, but at least you're taking responsibility for yourself. And just seeing that diagram and just realizing it was part of my identity now and I didn't want it to be, that was the thing that helped me take my power back.
And I also love that through this trauma and through this, it's such a traumatic experience that you were going through when your life, you felt like your life had gone to shit. Because of this experience, you took that as an opportunity to look at all of the other areas in your life where you needed to do healing and all of the other places where you could potentially improve. How would someone go about sort of, okay, if maybe they are going through something really traumatic and they're ready to take back their power, or maybe their business is struggling and they feel like they're blaming everyone else, but they are ready to finally take responsibility and take back their power, and they want to look at sort of all of the other areas of their life and how they can improve in all of those areas. Was there any way that you did you maybe sit down and journal about like what limiting beliefs were coming up for you, or what you felt like was really difficult for you, or how did you sort of go about that process of starting to heal the other areas of your life as well?
Number one, and this is why that I call myself an embodiment coach as well, is actually when we start to learn to connect back with our body, that's when we start to hear and understand where there might be pain and where we might need more attention and love, because our body has all the answers, and trauma is stuck in our body. A lot of people just think that it's mindset work, which a big part of it is, but there's only so much talking therapy can do. And this is why embodiment practices are so powerful, because if you think like an animal, for example, if they experience something really traumatic, as soon as they experience that, they shake it off and make a weird noise, and then they run off, then they're fine. It's not stuck in their body. As humans, as adults, we don't. Like as babies, we still did do that. If we would hurt ourselves, we would have a huge tantrum and cry, get it all out, not stuck in our body. But as we grow up, society puts these judgments on us, and we just kind of keep face and we keep it together. And so this is how disease starts to form, because energy and emotion just needs to pass through us, and all emotion is the same. It needs to pass through us. And I read Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. I always remember this analogy that he gave, and he talks about how you're walking down a road and you see a tree. The tree doesn't affect you. You know it's a tree. You have neutral feelings about the tree, and it passes through you. This is how all emotion and energy should just pass through us. We continue walking, and then a car drives past, and they're playing a song, and it reminds us of our ex-boyfriend who cheated on us, and we tense up, and our heart starts to beat really fast, and we're like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? that is how we tense and keep energy stuck in our body. It should be like open, like a stream just flowing. But when that happens, it's like all these branches and twigs and stuff are blocking the stream. And then that is how illness starts. And that is why we can feel so stuck with what we're doing in our life, because we're holding on to so much pain and guilt and shame and resentment. And essentially what we need to do is start tuning into our body again to notice and feel where that is, so we can support ourselves to actually heal and let go and release. And once I started to do that, like a big thing which I started with was connecting with my cycle as a way of life, and learning that, you know, we're not supposed to be go all the time. There's other seasons that we're in, like autumn and winter, that we're supposed to slow down and listen to our body. And in that space, that's when healing can occur. I am a big advocate for connecting with your body and using all the tools with like breath, sound, movement. Like I do a lot of dance just in my room, or ecstatic or whatever. Also emotional release, like screaming into pillows, hitting things, like expressing anger in a really healthy way, because it allows things to move through you. And then alongside that, you can, you know, do the talking therapy, write the letters, journal, all the things. But it starts with your body.
I guess in the Western world, we're not really taught that your emotions show up physically in your body. I guess an easy example is if you're stressed, you'll get a headache or a sore neck or something like that. That's something that sort of the everyday person might experience, but you don't realize if you have a pain in your lower back that's been persisting for 5 years or something, it's probably actually something to do with an emotional trigger that you haven't, or an emotional trauma that you haven't moved through. And that's why you're feeling that pain. Joel Brown and Emil Steenveld got us to do an exercise called I Am Allowing. And basically what everyone in the room did was you stand very close to a partner, maybe about 30 centimeters away from them, and you look into their eyes, and you first, one person goes, and then after I think it was a minute or two, the next person goes. And you basically just start saying, I'm allowing sadness, I'm allowing anger, I'm allowing all of these feelings that you've never potentially allowed before. And I can remember so clearly, first sort of 30 seconds to a minute, everyone was staying composed, no one was crying or anything. But after a minute or two, people were sobbing. You were bawling your eyes out. There was another girl that literally like fell to the ground and was sitting against the wall, like with her hands in her head, because society sort of tells us as we grow up that we're not really allowed to express our emotions, and we have to always stay composed and happy and like keep on this mask that's holding us back from truly expressing what we feel. And then when the room had to do this exercise, everyone was just bawling their eyes out, because it's so powerful to actually allow these emotions. We've never really been given permission before to allow them. So when we do, it's so powerful. So for the audience listening, like you guys could do this in a mirror just with yourself, like stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself in the eyes and say, like, think of a time or a situation that maybe is still on your mind, feels like it's still triggering you a little bit, and just start saying, I'm allowing sadness, I'm allowing anger, I'm allowing the feeling of jealousy, or I'm allowing the feeling of resentment, or whatever you're feeling, and just keep going and going and going. It's a fantastic way to start actually allowing these things and doing what Gabby is talking about, because it really, really can help you. Once you start to move through this trauma, it will help you in all of the areas of your life. When you can do healing, it really affects your business and the success that you can have and the money that you can make.
When you start to do this work, it creates space. And like I was saying before, previously, we have all these things that are weighing us down. Even though we have all these amazing ideas, but we can't understand why we can't make the business, why we're not getting the clients. And it's because it is literally weighing us down. Once we start to clear out all of that, then we're raising our vibration, and we're able to manifest and attract the clients that we want, the money that we want, and more opportunities. And for me, it just like kept spiraling. The deeper I went into this work, then the more money I was making, the more clients I was making. And right now, like I've never been in a more successful place. Like I'm fully booked and like having to book out months in advance now. It's honestly crazy, because when I came to Bali, I was charging £30 for a session, and I hardly had any clients. And I like, now it's like totally different, and I'm a totally different coach and person. When you work through your shit, it's just peeling back layer after layer, coming home to yourself, coming home to your truth. And when you're just showing up as your authentic self, people connect with that as well. And so I think from there, it's just you end up creating a business and a life that you actually want.
When I was in Bali, I was also very much on a journey of healing. I think a lot of people end up in Bali when they're feeling a little bit broken, or they feel like they've got some things they need to work through. I did a forgiveness exercise. I basically wrote forgiveness letters to everyone in my life that I felt like had ever harmed me or caused me pain, or mentally, physically. Well, no one's ever physically caused me pain, thank goodness. Then I could either decide to give this letter to them, or call them, or whatever. I was doing a course with Emil, one of our mutual friends, and so I ended up calling basically everyone in my family and the closest people that I'd written letters to, and telling them, hey, there's some things that you did in the past that actually really hurt me, but I just want to let you know that I completely forgive you for that. And I also take responsibility for my part of the situation, because I know I probably did things to hurt you before, and I've never said it, but I just really want to tell you that I'm sorry. And like, both of my parents were crying. My brothers and sisters all thought I was drunk. They were like, are you feeling okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm just doing this exercise. And they're like, okay, this is a weird conversation. Like, we've never had a conversation like this before. I'm like, I know, but I'm like, I'm trying to do good, guys. Come on, work with me here. But yeah. after I actually did it, I have never felt more free in my life. Like, that day I knew if something happened and I died, I would not have any single thing left that I wanted to say to anyone in the world, because I had said it all. And it was just like this huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And as you said, it created so much space for me to be more creative in my business. And it allowed me to stop stressing about all of these things, and to show up as a more creative and joyful and happy person, because I'd taken back my power, like we were talking about before. I'd taken responsibility, I'd done the forgiveness work, and it affected every area of my life. So I can completely testify that doing this sort of work really does help you have more success in every area of your life, not just your business, but with your relationships, with your family, with your friends, with your creativity, with absolutely everything. It touches everything that you do, which I think is so, so powerful. Gabby, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. This topic is, I think it's a topic that so many people need to hear about, and I'm so happy that you came on the podcast and could share it with my audience. If there was one last thing that you could say to the audience today, what would you want to say?
I would want to say to prioritize connecting back with your body. Like, just sit with yourself. It doesn't even have to be like a long meditation, but just sitting with yourself and breathing into like these 4 points, like the mind, the heart, the womb, the yoni, your sex space, genitals. When you connect into each of those emotional points, and you can hear the guidance, you can hear the messages, you're able to move through life in a way more connected and empowered way, because you're actually connecting to your body. Most of the time we just listen to our mind. We have to stop just listening to our mind, because that's more based on like fear and ego. Listen to the other parts of your body. You'll be surprised at what you hear back, and you'll notice that it's always trying to speak to you, and that will serve you in so many ways, because everything's touching everything.
Thank you so much for joining me. Can you please share with the audience where they can find you online to hear more about the goodness that you have been providing in the podcast?
If you want to find out more about me, then my Instagram is I am Gabby Francis, at I am Gabby Francis. And my website is www.gabriellefrancis.com. And Instagram is like my main form of like connecting and engaging with everyone else.
You heard it here, guys. If you want to get in touch with Gabby to potentially have a talk about some healing from old trauma, or anything that's to do with embodiment, anything like that, she is your go-to woman. She can help you with any sort of healing, trauma, embodiment. That is her area of expertise, as you have heard here today. So please go and check her out if you have enjoyed this episode. I have a new YouTube channel, which I would love all of my podcast listeners to subscribe to. If you would like to subscribe to it, just search Taylor Victoria and I will hopefully come up. There are a couple of other Taylor Victorias, so you might have to scroll down a little bit on the page. But until the next episode, I will see you guys later. Bye! If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you can get weekly updates as to when I put out new videos around personal development, mindset, and basically how you can become the best version of you possible. And don't forget, if you feel like you need support in any of these areas, please reach out to me, coachtaylorvictoria@gmail.com. I'll be able to give you any support that you need and help you out with anything that you could possibly think of. And until the next episode, I'll see you later. Bye!